Ugh. That's just too creepy, I can't even. In the bedroom, witnessing Barry and a familiar-faced woman getting intimate, I felt nauseous. Although I wanted to look away immediately, this was a golden opportunity to capture evidence of infidelity. With my hand over my mouth, I pulled out my smartphone from my pocket and began taking pictures of the two of them in the midst of their affair. They seemed completely unaware of me, holding the smartphone camera through the gap in the door, probably because they were so engrossed in each other. Lauren. Barry. Their voices echoed in my ears as if they were breathing together, and my fever-induced head shook as if I were giddy. I had been suspecting something was off with Barry recently, and it turns out I was right. Suppressing the rage bubbling up from within, I continued to take photos while battling the fever.
Lauren, I love you.
I love you too, Barry. Hearing their declarations of love for each other, my desire for revenge flared up. My name is Naomi Day. I'm 35 years old and work as a staff at a cafe in front of the station. Working at a cafe has been my dream since I was young, and I've been working at the same place since my university days as a part-timer. When I entered the workforce, the manager asked me, "Would you like to continue working for us?" I was invited to work at the store where I have been working since I was a part-timer. The workplace environment is great, with someone always willing to cover for me whenever I need a day off. I have a 5-year-old daughter named Emma, and I work reduced hours to take care of her, but everyone around me is very understanding. It's a great environment for raising a child, and I'm very grateful for it. As I mentioned, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I got married 6 years ago. At 29, which was considered the ideal age for marriage, I often complained about wanting to get married at the cafe where I worked. I had been in a relationship before, but we broke up a year prior. That's when the manager suggested a marriage consultation agency. I was hesitant about registering with a marriage consultation agency, but the manager said that the number of men introduced in your 20s and 30s was completely different, so I rushed to register. At 29, just barely in my 20s, I was able to find an ideal partner through the agency. That man was Barry Day, my husband. My first impression of Barry was that he was a handsome, capable older man. The first time we met, I was immediately struck by his good looks and articulate speech, imagining he must be just as competent at work. He was 5 years older than me and worked for a major electronics manufacturer. His family has a history of politicians, with his father being a city council member and his grandfather a member of parliament. He seemed perfect in every way: his appearance, his job, and his family background. I couldn't help but wonder why someone like him was at a marriage consultation agency. I liked my job, and originally, I wasn't much interested in marriage, but my dad kept nagging me about it. After being pushed about it so many times, I started to think that maybe marriage wouldn't be so bad after all. I see, that's how it was. If he liked his work, there wasn't much to be done about it. I believed his words at that time, convincing myself that he had simply not been interested in marriage despite having opportunities. After that, we smoothly went through several meetings, and his confession led us to start a serious relationship. Was it his charming nature, or what? Every restaurant we went to on dates, and even hotel receptions, the female staff would give him excessive service. He really is popular. I wondered what kind of person I had started dating. Of course, seeing his popularity made me happy. Our relationship went well, and a year later, I found out I was pregnant.
It looks like we're having a baby.
Since we weren't married yet, I was anxious about what he would say when I hesitantly told him, but his face immediately lit up.
That's great. Naomi, let's get married.
I had been longing to hear those words for the past year. Desiring to get married, I felt that having a child was a chance given by God. When he came to greet my family, he charmed them with his innate people skills, and my parents quickly took a liking to him. My relief was short-lived, however, as it was then my turn to visit Barry's family home. Walking through the gates of the big mansion and greeting my future in-laws for the first time, I was so nervous that my back was drenched in sweat. My mother-in-law was the epitome of a modest 80s wife, and my father-in-law, as I expected, had a stern impression. However, they never showed me any displeasure and were happy about us having a child and getting married.
Naomi, we're counting on you from here on out. I am looking forward to spending the rest of my life with you.
Thus, we happily got married. After our child was born, I took maternity leave and returned to work at the daycare a year later. Currently, I'm working reduced hours, but as I mentioned initially, my workplace is very understanding, so I can work comfortably despite the reduced hours. Barry is busy with work every day, often not returning home until after 10 p.m. due to work commitments. I was exhausted from juggling work, childcare, and household chores alone every day, but seeing our daughter Emma, who closely resembles Barry and is very cute, and having Barry, who works hard for our family, gave me the strength to keep going despite the tiredness. An event occurred that triggered the breakdown of my very ordinary and happy life. It was 3 months ago, in April. Amid a flurry of cherry blossoms, I met a certain person at my daughter's daycare. My child is starting here today. I have a lot of worries, please take care of us. The young mom who came up to me, flustered and looking around, had a daughter about Emma's age. She seemed to be in her late 20s. Probably, she had her daughter in her early 20s. She looked cute, with big, round eyes. Almost like a TV announcer. I'm a single mom, and until now, my family has been looking after Sarah, but it's become difficult to continue that way. Sarah must be her daughter's name. Emma immediately waved at Sarah, who was clinging to her mother's leg, inviting her to play together. Sarah seemed to think she could get along with Emma, nodding slightly, and the two of them walked side by side towards the playground equipment.
Oh, thank you so much.
Though it was Emma who had invited Sarah, Lauren watched the small backs of the two with gratitude, happy that her daughter had made a friend.
If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I hope we can be good mom friends from now on.
Lauren, still a young mom, saying nice words to me, obviously older, showing her politeness. I wasn't one to make mom friends at the daycare, but I thought maybe I could get along with Lauren. I wasn't one to make mom friends at the daycare, but I thought maybe I could get along with Lauren. From that day on, every time I went to pick up Emma from daycare, I had a conversation with Lauren, who would pick up Sarah at the same time of day. One day, Emma wanted to invite Sarah to our house, so I invited Sarah and Lauren to our home.
Wow, what a lovely home!
Lauren looked around the house with sparkling eyes. Having enough funds to build a detached house right after getting married, our home was built 5 years ago. We live near Barry's family home, and the family is known in this area as a political family, so I thought Lauren might mention it, but she didn't say anything. Well, it wouldn't be surprising if she wasn't interested in politics. Lauren blushed as she admired the spacious living room, the open ceiling of the atrium, and the spiral staircase.
I'm embarrassed to say, but I live in an old flat, so I've always dreamed of a beautiful detached house like this.
Being a single mother, I imagined she must lead a life full of struggles. I worried that our large home might seem like a show-off to her, but it seems my worries were unfounded. I'm so happy to be invited to such a wonderful house. True to her sociable nature, she smiled brightly and bowed to me. Emma and Sarah were frolicking in the playroom. I served tea to Lauren, and we had a lively conversation about our pasts. Sarah's father was a high school classmate of Lauren, but when Lauren got pregnant, he said he wanted to have more fun and ran away. It sounded like a typical end for young couples, but it must have been tough for Lauren, the person involved. Raising Sarah alone is nothing short of admirable. As we were getting carried away with our stories, the door opened, and I knew Barry had come home. Looking at the clock, it was just past 6 p.m. Hey, welcome home. You're early today. It's a no-overtime day. It's strange coming home at this hour, but it's nice to be able to come back at this time. He, loosening his tie as he entered the living room, stopped in his tracks when he saw Lauren's face.
Hello. I'm Lauren Williams. My daughter Sarah has been getting along well with Emma, so we came here today.
Oh, hello. Emma's friend's mom, right? Please, make yourself at home," he replied with a kind face. Then the two looked at each other steadily, as if confirming something, their gaze lingering. "Lauren, is something wrong?" "No, it's just, your husband seemed so nice, I was just Lauren said, her cheeks turning red. Things between Lauren and Barry started to get strange from then on. Since coming to my house, Lauren began to make snide remarks every time we met at the daycare. "Naomi, you're so lucky to marry someone like Barry, even though you're not particularly wealthy." Well, yes." Lauren, whom I had thought to be reserved, began to speak her mind, leaving me puzzled. "And Emma's lessons, like piano and violin, you seem to be letting her learn a lot. It's all thanks to Barry, isn't it? That seems a bit unfair." Jealousy burned in her eyes. Seeing my home, she must have envied the wealthy lifestyle, assuming that we could get anything we wanted. Indeed, thanks to him, we're living a good life, but I too am working hard and taking care of the household. I hadn't expected to face such blatant jealousy, even if someone might envy us. Since then, unsure how to interact with her, I began avoiding her. After some time, when I went to pick up Emma as usual, I noticed she among a few moms chatting in front of the daycare. I intended to simply nod and pass by, but I was startled by the conversation I overheard. "Naomi's husband is handsome, and she's living off him, making Emma take all sorts of lessons. I met her husband once, and he was complaining about how she keeps demanding money from him. He was angry, saying she doesn't work or even do the housework." "Really? She's like that? People are not always what they seem." Hearing the moms whispering, I was shocked. Realizing she was spreading false rumors about me, I felt a chill. I kept my distance from her, picked up Emma, and quickly went home. "Mommy, Sarah doesn't play with me like she used to." "What?" Emma's words sent a chill through me. It had to be Lauren. Lauren must have influenced Sarah to not play with Emma anymore. Why would she do this? After being so polite and friendly with me, why did she suddenly turn against me, resorting to harassment? I hugged Emma, reassuring her repeatedly, "It's okay. I'll take care of it." However, my hopes were vain and she was not as friendly with me as she used to be. Not just that. Around the same time, Barry also started coming home late due to continuous overtime. He would come home late, reeking of alcohol and perfume. It was obvious he had been out drinking with someone. But he would dramatically complain of being too tired to eat dinner and head straight for the bath. If he had gone out for a drink, he could have told me so, but I didn't understand why he bothered to hide it. On weekends, he often said, "Oh, I had work," and left the house, leaving us to go to the park alone frequently. During this period of misunderstandings with both Barry and Lauren, I received a call from my mother-in-law. It was rare for my in-laws to call, so curious, I answered, only to hear my mother-in-law lamenting Barry's absence from their home recently. Hearing this, I was surprised. Last week he said he was going to his parents' house and left for the weekend. "Oh, is that so? He didn't come here at all. What is he up to, really?" Barry's family being involved in politics, there seemed to be many events he must attend during weekends. Previously, he would visit his family home for these events, but lately, he seems to have stopped showing up altogether, leaving his father, the politician, in a tight spot, my mother-in-law sighed. I don't like to nag too much, but if he couldn't make it, he could have at least called. That's true. My mother-in-law's point was valid. Being naturally reserved, she probably hadn't been too forceful in telling him to come home. It made sense that a simple call would suffice. I'll talk to him about it. Thank you, Naomi. I appreciate it. That night, I immediately asked him about the previous weekend. I heard you didn't go back to your parents' house last weekend. Your mother was a bit angry, and I felt his body jerked for a moment. Last weekend? Oh, some urgent work came up, and I couldn't make it back. My bad for not calling. His quick response, smoothly deflecting my sudden question, started to feel unsettling to me. Hey, you've been away from home recently. Was that really all for work? What do you mean? Well, having work every single weekend. I voiced my genuine doubts, but he seemed annoyed, scratching his head dismissively. Yeah, I've been swamped with work lately. Can we not do this today? I'm exhausted. Okay, I understand. Unable to press further, I had no choice but to take his word for it. For about a month, our lives continued to pass each other by. And of course, the awkwardness with Lauren remained at the daycare. I decided to keep my distance from the other moms, enduring until Emma's graduation. Then one day, I woke up feeling unwell. I had a shift at the cafe that morning and couldn't afford to call in sick for a minor cold, so I took some medicine and went to work. However, as the day went on, my condition worsened, and even without a thermometer, it was clear I had a high fever.
Are you okay, Naomi? If you're feeling sick, we can manage. Please go home and get rest.
My colleague noticed my discomfort and kindly offered help. Yeah, thank you. Overwhelmed by the illness, I accepted their offer. After informing the manager, I took the train home. Upon opening the front door, I was startled to see unfamiliar high-heeled shoes. Whose shoes are these? I don't wear high heels like these. I would recognize my own shoes immediately. Next to the high heels, his shoes were also haphazardly placed. Why is he here? He's supposed to be at work today. I could feel my heart pounding faster and faster. I've seen these high heels somewhere before. No way. With my body aching from the high fever, I leaned against the wall for support as I entered the house. The living room was empty. If not there, then perhaps the bedroom? I made my way to the bedroom without making a sound. Then, I heard the sound of male and female breaths from the bedroom, causing my heart to leap. What? As I cautiously looked at the bedroom door, I noticed it was slightly ajar. The light inside was on, and I could immediately tell Barry and an unfamiliar woman were inside. I peeked through the gap of the open door. There, shockingly, were Barry and Lauren, both naked on the bed, making indescribable noises as they were engaged in the act. That's just too creepy, I can't even. Witnessing Barry and a familiar-faced woman being intimate, I felt nauseous. Although I wanted to look away immediately, this was a golden opportunity to capture evidence of infidelity. With my hand over my mouth, I pulled out my smartphone from my pocket and began taking pictures of the two of them in the midst of their affair. They seemed completely unaware of me, holding the smartphone camera through the gap in the door, probably because they were so engrossed in each other. Lauren. Barry. The sounds of their breaths echoing like whispers in my ears made my fever-addled head spin dizzily. I had been suspecting something off about him recently, and it turns out, this was it. Controlling the anger rising from the pit of my stomach, I continued to record while battling the fever.
Lauren, I love you. I love you too, Barry.
Listening to their declarations of love, my desire for revenge ignited fiercely. After finishing the recording, I grabbed a change of clothes and my wallet, and quietly slipped out of the house without being noticed. I then headed to a close housewife friend's place to take refuge. When I explained that I needed a place to rest until evening due to some circumstances, my friend sensed something was amiss and kindly let me into her home. I rested at my friend's house until the end of the work shift I had originally planned for today. In the evening, timing my return home. It seemed Lauren had already left, and he was nonchalantly saying, "I got off work early today," with a proud look on his face. Watching his feigned ignorance, a mix of anger and laughter welled up inside me, but with the fever still high, I couldn't respond and simply headed to bed. For the next few days, I remained at home recuperating from the fever. After 4 days, my fever finally subsided, but I was advised to take one more day off from work just to be safe. The holiday week began, a time when everyone seems to be in high spirits. He said he was going to work as usual and left. But I knew the truth. He wasn't going to work today. In fact, yesterday, while he was in the bath, I secretly checked his smartphone and discovered he had arranged to meet Lauren at a hotel today. I had found out that Lauren had exchanged contact information with him during her visit to our house, behind my back. The thought of them secretly meeting up without me knowing made me feel nauseous, even though my fever had subsided. He pretending as if nothing happened and feigning concern for my health seemed so insincere that my love for him had completely cooled. While leisurely doing housework and watching TV, my phone rang. It was from my mother-in-law. When I answered, she said, "We're just gathered with relatives at our house right now. It's the holiday week, so you'll be coming back soon, right?" "That's right. I was supposed to visit my in-laws every holiday week and Christmas week. But given Barry's recent behavior, my mother-in-law was probably unsure whether he would come back. I wanted to simply say, I'll return with him, but this time I couldn't do that. I wasn't thick-skinned enough to show up at my cheating husband's family home as if nothing had happened. I'm sorry. I'd like to come back, but there's something I need you to see first." "Something you want me to see? What is it?" I hung up the call, then sent the video of them that I had recorded to my mother-in-law's contact, and also to the group contact of his family relatives.
What is this?
When I called my mother-in-law back, her voice was filled with outrage. From the background, I could hear relatives exclaiming, "What? This is Barry with a younger woman." I know it was a shock. The supposedly perfect Barry was caught cheating with a woman 10 years his junior. I recorded this 5 days ago. The woman is a mom from Emma's daycare, who initially was friendly with me. But after she met Barry once, she turned cold towards me, as if flipping a hand. He has been the same. Every weekend, he said he was going to work or to his parents' house, but he was actually meeting her.
What the?
As my mother-in-law began to grasp the situation, her emotions shifted from shock to outright anger. "Actually, today Barry is at the hotel with that woman. I'm heading there now, so I'm sorry, but it seems I won't be able to come home this time." I explained over the phone while preparing to confront them at the hotel. Ironically, the hotel was near the cafe where I worked. Not a fancy hotel, but a standard tourist hotel, which added insult to injury. It was unbelievable they were sneaking around in such a place. When I arrived at the hotel, to my surprise, my parents-in-law were also at the hotel. Only to find my in-laws had also come, understandably unable to stay silent after hearing what had happened.
"Naomi! Is that video real?"
"Yes, it is real. When I came home early due to a fever, I found Barry and that woman, Lauren, in our house since the afternoon." My revelation caused my father-in-law's face to harden. His fists clenched as though on the verge of exploding. Just then, they appeared.
"What? Mom and Dad? And Naomi too? Naomi and your parents?"
Their eyes widened in shock, but we were the ones with grievances.
"Today, we saw a video of you with that woman. You're having an affair, aren't you? Naomi has known for some time."
My father-in-law diplomatically referred to the explicit content simply as a video, but it was clear they realized they had been caught in a compromising act.
"What? Naomi, how could you do this?" "Exactly. I always knew there was something off about you, but to stoop to such cowardly tactics."
They united in blaming me. I never expected to find myself in a position where I was the one being blamed. "What?" I exclaimed, surprised at the absurdity of the situation. My in-laws looked on in disbelief, likely unable to comprehend how their son, whom they had always thought highly of, could deny the facts of his infidelity and instead blame his wife first.
"Barry, what are you saying? You're the one who cheated. Why are you blaming Naomi?" "Exactly. Do you even realize what you've done? When we thought you were just busy with work, you were actually doing something as shameful as this. Everyone in the family has seen the video. Do you want to embarrass us?"
The murmurs in the hotel lobby began to grow as more people started paying attention to our confrontation. My father-in-law, though a city councillor, seemed unrecognized for now. But he was clearly concerned about the surrounding eyes and demanded in a low voice, "Take us to your room." He, intimidated by the gravity of the situation, led us to the hotel room he had booked with Lauren. Once out of the public eye, my father-in-law couldn't contain his anger any longer and bellowed, "You're an idiot." His voice was so loud that I gasped in shock. "Do you think it's okay to hurt Naomi like this?" The father-in-law crammed in front of Barry's eyes. The sheer force of his spirit distorted Barry's well-toned face.
"You are a disgrace to the family. Get out of our house."
His father grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and shouted loudly. A sound that likely echoed into neighboring rooms. It wasn't my fault. I was seduced by this woman. Plus, I never really wanted to marry. I only married Naomi because Dad insisted, and it just so happened that the timing worked out with her.
What? What do you mean by that?
Lauren exploded in anger upon hearing his attempt to discard her. I couldn't let his "it was just the timing" excuse go either. Think about it.
Someone like me, who's married with children and has built a new house, living happily ever after, Lauren came to destroy that. If she hadn't come on to me, none of this would have happened.
Barry gasped, trying to defend himself.
What? You were all in too? Sure, I was the one who made the first move, but you were the one who went along with it.
Lauren countered, and soon they were embroiled in a lover's quarrel. Dizzy from the absurdity of the spectacle unfolding before me, I pushed past Barry's parents to confront the two of them directly. "Listening to you both, it's clear how insincere you are.
Betraying me and then loving each other behind my back, and you have the nerve to argue about it? It's disgraceful, especially since you both have children. If you want to fight, do it outside. I want nothing more to do with either of you. And Barry, to think you never loved me from the start. Well, that makes things simple. Fill out this divorce paper and submit it. Of course, I'll be taking a substantial amount in alimony from both of you. Goodbye."
I thrust the divorce papers I had hidden in my bag under Barry's nose, leaving him and Lauren stunned as I left the hotel room. Ignoring Barry's pleas from behind, I hurried home. By the time I got back, it was nearly time to pick Emma up from daycare.
"Mommy!"
Emma ran towards me as she spotted me. Behind her, Lauren's daughter, Sarah, was happily playing with other friends.
"Sorry I'm late, Emma."
"It's okay, Mommy. I'm glad you're here. I don't like Sarah. She's mean." She glanced briefly at Sarah before hugging me. It seemed she had grown weary of Sarah, who had been influenced by Lauren. Although Sarah might not realize the impact of her actions, I hoped she would find new friends. When he returned home from the hotel, his face was swollen and red. Having received a severe lecture, likely from Lauren or his father.
It was terrible. After that, I was dragged to my parents' house, humiliated in front of relatives. Dad disowned me, making me apologize in front of everyone. It was a disaster.
Watching Barry sulk, I knew divorcing him was the right decision.
I don't care about that. Just give me the divorce papers.
Finally realizing I wouldn't change my mind, Barry reluctantly handed over the papers. The next day, I submitted the divorce papers to the office, officially ending our relationship. I couldn't love Barry again after he slept with Lauren. I later found out from Barry's father what happened to him. Barry lost his job for skipping work to meet Lauren. And she lost her job for the same reason, and the two had to go on the road. She went back to her parents' house and had a falling out with him. Sarah would likely leave daycare for one closer to Lauren's parental home. Hearing this, I was relieved for Emma's sake. Now, Barry, who has been fired from his job and disowned by a political family, has plummeted from the elite path to the bottom of the ladder. The compensation I claimed was not paid by my father, and I ended up shouldering the debt himself. It's truly a case of reaping what one sows. Having committed infidelity without considering my own position, I hope Barry reflects thoroughly in his personal hell. I now live with Emma in a two-person household. While it's unfortunate for Emma to be without her father, she seems to prefer seeing me cleanly break up with Barry and sort out my feelings rather than witnessing my hurt expression. She didn't say she felt lonely without her dad. Barry, who used to lie about working even on holidays to meet with Lauren, had no time to spend with Emma. I believe Emma saw through Barry's true nature.
From now on, Emma and I will live happily as parent and child, just the two of us.